In this video today, I'm going to talk about self-care via self-discipline. Hi there, my name is Chelsea, and if you are new to my channel, I'm here to share all things self-love and self-care. Now, before you run away, this video is not referring to the rat race of life or forcing yourself into exhaustion. That would actually be counterintuitive to my entire message thus far. I would never promote that, and at the end of the day, only you know what your needs are, and the goal is to never hyperextend ourselves. So keep that in mind throughout this video. In fact, that is why I wanted to speak on this topic. I'm sure on YouTube you could find plenty of videos about self-discipline, and my goal for contributing my point of view is that I've struggled with this in the past, and I'm sure that there are other people that have struggled with this as well, and I want you to feel seen, heard, and understood, and to hear this advice through a compassionate lens. Over time, I feel like I've gotten into a really good space with this practice, and it wasn't always that way, so I want to share what has worked for me, what some of my struggles were, how I resolved those, and then what some of the major benefits are to practicing self-discipline as an act of self-care. To start with, one of the biggest roadblocks I experienced was self-sabotage. This looked like knowing what I want for myself, but then having this really strong urge to not follow through with the action necessary to achieve that. Or I would repeatedly make excuses for why I couldn't do something that I absolutely could do. With self-sabotage, doing the right thing for yourself can come with this really strange layer of discomfort and anxiety, resulting in you avoiding something that could bring you so many benefits, which can then create this vicious cycle where you just feel so much shame. And this only makes matters worse because then it feels even harder to implement that task. For me, this applies to things such as moving my body more, filling my body with nutritious foods, scheduling medical checkups, getting to bed at a decent hour, reducing my screen time when I notice I'm getting headaches, keeping my space around me tidy and clean, even though I don't really enjoy the process of cleaning at all. It's doing the things that you know are good for you, but aren't necessarily fun to implement. The thing is I knew what things I should do to make myself feel better. That being said, I felt this really strong pull to not do those things. And it wasn't just in this I'm lazy sort of way. I would be productive in other ways. So that's why it's really important to be aware of self-sabotaging tendencies, because once we understand what the root of the issue is, we can then begin to break those patterns. Self-sabotage is usually a much deeper conditioning, and it involves how we feel about ourselves and our self-worth and what kind of life we think that we deserve. Most of the time, we don't even realize that we have these underlying beliefs about ourselves and our life. So if you feel like you sometimes struggle with getting things done that you know you should get done, and no matter what circumstances present themselves, how much time off you have, you just don't want to do that thing, I encourage you to take a little bit of time to process if you might be experiencing some self-sabotaging beliefs without even realizing it. Because once you have that awareness, you can work with that and begin to make some changes. For example, you can tell yourself, I deserve to be happy and healthy. I deserve to live a life that makes me feel confident. I deserve to take care of myself and my space. And even though these things might feel obvious or corny or weird to tell yourself, if you have these deep limiting beliefs about yourself, you will need to have some self-compassion and to convince yourself otherwise. The good news is you can establish new habits fairly quickly, and once you've done something once or twice, it just gets easier and easier each time. So It's really just about having self-compassion, paying attention to what your limiting beliefs may be, and then just pushing through and showing up for yourself, even if it's uncomfortable, because it will get easier. Now, let's talk about some of the self-care benefits of self-discipline. In other words, what makes it all worth it to push through that initial discomfort? To start with, practicing self-discipline is really helpful in taking care of our inner child. I've mentioned that before with the topic of inner child work, but really when you are showing up for yourself consistently and you are being that adult in your life that is advocating for you, it makes that really innocent, vulnerable part of you feel secure and safe. And this can be more important than you even realize because it can affect your overall mental and emotional wellness. Another great benefit of self-discipline is it can help your overall mental health. And I don't mean to overgeneralize, everyone's mental health is a little different. But in terms of my situation, my anxiety symptoms can make me wake up feeling overwhelmed, low energy, and just really unmotivated at times. Focusing on one actionable step at a time can help me feel less overwhelmed, and it helps me to get things done. Versus when I have a whole to-do list, I sometimes get really stressed out just thinking about it, and I'm wasting energy before I've even done anything. So when you are practicing self-discipline and you're just starting one task at a time, action tends to breed more action. So you kind of get into this flow state where you can just do one thing and then you're like, okay, what do I want to do next? And then you naturally do the next best thing for yourself. If you struggle with similar symptoms as I described, it might help you get into a groove and just feel a lot less overwhelmed. And lastly, self-discipline can increase your confidence. I think a lot of us agree that self-confidence is a desirable trait, and many of us are seeking ways that we can improve this area of our life. By showing up for yourself, even when you don't want to, you are showing yourself that you are strong, capable, and determined to advocate for yourself, even when your motivation is dwindling. Because that is a very key distinction. Motivation and discipline are not the same thing. You won't always be motivated. And that's where discipline is really important, because even though you don't want to do that thing, it doesn't mean you can't do it. So it's really important to give yourself that gentle push towards what you know you should be doing, even on those days where you just don't feel motivated at all. In doing so, you show yourself that you can do hard things, and that's empowering. I hope this video today was helpful for you to see how crucial self-discipline is in terms of self-care. And it's okay if this is something that you struggle with. You will need to be kind to yourself in order for this process to work. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the like button down below as well as the subscribe button. I make new videos every Friday, and I would love if you would join me on this journey. I also post a lot on the Real Glow Up Instagram page if you'd like to follow me there as well.